Jake Morrison stared out the viewport as his shuttle descended toward the gray surface of the moon. Below him, Outpost Zeta-7 sat like a forgotten toy on the barren landscape. The structure was old but intact, its metal walls still reflecting the dim light from the gas giant that filled half the sky above. The shuttle touched down with a gentle thud. Jake grabbed his 2 duffel bags and stepped out onto the dusty ground. The air inside his helmet tasted recycled and stale. He walked toward the main airlock, his boots leaving deep prints in the dust that had accumulated over 15 years. The outpost had been abandoned since the Valen species left without explanation. Now Jake had a simple job: catalog the equipment, file reports, and prepare everything for final decommissioning. 6 months of solitude. 6 months of silence. That was exactly what he needed. He keyed in the access code that headquarters had given him. The airlock hissed open, and Jake stepped inside. Lights flickered on automatically as he moved through the corridors. Everything looked frozen in time. Coffee cups still sat on desks. Papers lay scattered across workstations. It was like the previous occupants had simply vanished mid-shift. Jake found the living quarters and dropped his bags on the nearest bed. Dust puffed up around them. He spent the rest of the day cleaning one room and checking the basic systems. Water worked. Power worked. Life support worked. Everything he needed to survive was functional. That night, Jake sat alone in the mess hall, eating a heated ration pack. The silence pressed against his ears. For the first time in months, he felt almost at peace. Out here, nobody would ask him questions. Nobody would offer sympathy. Nobody would remind him of what he lost. His wife and daughter had died 8 months ago, when their transport suffered a catastrophic failure. Jake had been on a different ship, unable to help, unable to save them. He replayed that day in his mind constantly. The work here would give him something else to think about. The next 2 days passed in routine tasks. Jake cataloged equipment in the research labs. He checked power relays. He filed reports with Earth Command. Everything was ordinary and predictable. That was good. On the 3rd night, something changed. Jake was reviewing power consumption logs when he noticed an irregularity. Certain sections of the outpost were drawing energy. Not much, but enough to notice. The strange part was that those sections should have been completely offline. He pulled up the station schematics on his tablet. The power drain was coming from below the main level, in an area marked as storage. Jake frowned. He had been in that storage area yesterday. It was just empty rooms and old supply crates. Curiosity pulled him out of his chair. He grabbed a portable scanner and headed down to the lower level. The corridor lights activated as he walked, casting long shadows on the metal walls. He found the storage area and began scanning the walls with his device. The readings made no sense. His scanner showed a hollow space behind the north wall, but the schematics showed nothing there. Jake ran his hand along the metal surface. It felt different from the rest of the wall, slightly warmer. He went back to his quarters and retrieved his engineering toolkit. Whatever was behind that wall, he was going to find it. Jake returned to the storage area and began examining the wall more carefully. After 20 minutes of searching, he found it. A nearly invisible seam running in a perfect rectangle. Using his tools, Jake pried at the edges. The seal resisted at first, then gave way with a hiss of escaping air. The panel fell inward, revealing a dark passage beyond. Cool air rushed out, carrying a faint metallic smell. Jake activated his helmet light and stepped through the opening. The passage sloped downward at a steep angle. He followed it for nearly 50 meters before it opened into a massive chamber. His breath caught in his throat. The chamber was huge, easily the size of a football field. Crystalline structures grew from the floor and ceiling like frozen trees. They pulsed with a soft blue light that illuminated everything in an eerie glow. At the center of the chamber stood a raised platform with what looked like a pedestal made of the same crystal material. Jake approached slowly, his scanner going crazy with readings he did not understand. The technology here was far beyond anything the Valen had created. This was something older, something more advanced. When he reached the platform, the pedestal suddenly came to life. Holographic displays burst into existence around him, showing symbols and diagrams that made no sense. Jake stepped back, his hand moving to the tool on his belt. Then a voice spoke. It started as noise, random sounds that hurt his ears. But with each second, the sounds became clearer, more organized. Within moments, the voice was speaking broken English. "Waiting," the voice said. "Long waiting. You are human?" Jake's heart pounded. "What are you?" "This unit is Archive, Knowledge Keeper, Guardian Selector. You have entered. You have qualities." "What qualities? What is this place?" The holographic displays changed, showing images of different alien species. None of them were familiar to Jake. Many species tested. Few possess necessary traits. You are human. Humanity shows promise. Our ornament. Our ornament. Promise for what? Guardianship. Protection. Service. The Archive's voice was getting smoother, more natural. It was learning to speak with every word. The architects left this place. They searched long for proper guardians. Humanity matches required profile. Jake tried to process this. The architects? Who were they? Ancient civilization. Builders of safe houses across galaxy. They preserved knowledge for future guardians to protect. Before Jake could ask another question, the Archive's displays shifted again. Now they showed Earth. But not modern Earth. These images showed his planet from thousands of years ago. Pyramids being built, stone circles being erected, ancient civilizations rising and falling. The architects watched humanity develop. The Archive explained. They guided subtly. Waited for proper evolution of traits. You are first human to reach this facility. You are first to pass initial screening. This is insane, Jake muttered. None of this makes sense. Understanding will come, but time is limited. Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the outpost. The sound echoed down the passage and into the hidden chamber. Jake's communicator crackled to life with automated warnings. Unidentified vessels approaching. Multiple ships detected. Entering orbit. Unknown configuration. Jake ran back through the passage and up to the control room. The monitors showed 3 large ships circling the moon. They were not human designs. The computer identified them as Velen military vessels. His communicator buzzed with an incoming transmission. Jake accepted it, and a harsh voice filled the room. Human occupant of Outpost Zeta 7. This is Commander Thex of the Velen Reclamation Fleet. You are trespassing on ancestral property. Evacuate immediately. You have 1 hour to comply. Failure to leave will result in your destruction and the destruction of the facility. The transmission cut off. Jake stood frozen, staring at the ships on his screen. He had come here seeking peace and isolation. Instead, he had stumbled into something far bigger and far more dangerous than he could have imagined. The Archive had been waiting for him. The Velan wanted whatever was hidden below. And Jake was caught in the middle with nowhere to run. His quiet escape from grief had just become a fight for survival. Jake raced back down to the hidden chamber. His mind spun with questions. But right now, he needed answers more than understanding. The Archive's blue light pulsed steadily as he approached the pedestal. Why are the Velen here? Jake demanded. What do they want? The Archive's holographic displays shifted, showing images of Velen scientists working in this very chamber. 15 years ago, Velen research team discovered this facility. They attempted forced access to knowledge stores. Result: defensive protocols activated. 3. Velen died. Others fled in fear. You killed them? This unit protected itself according to architect programming. Velen tried to steal knowledge without proving worthy. Defense was necessary. Jake watched the historical images play out. The Velan had brought cutting tools and weapons. They had tried to break into the Archive's core systems. When the defenses activated, energy barriers had crushed them. It was brutal but clear. The Archive would not allow itself to be taken by force. They have been searching for method to bypass defenses, the Archive continued. They detected activation when you entered chamber. They know someone has accessed the system. They will not leave peacefully. What am I supposed to do? I am one person with no weapons against 3 warships. You have choice, the archive said. Its tone was calm, almost patient. Option 1. Evacuate as commanded. Velen will attempt access again. They will fail again. Cycle will repeat. Option 2. Accept Guardian Protocol. Bond with this facility. Protect knowledge as architects intended. Jake laughed, but there was no humor in it. Bond? What does that even mean? The displays changed again, showing a human figure connected to the archive through streams of light. Guardian bonding links consciousness with facility systems. You gain access to all defensive capabilities. You gain knowledge of operation and maintenance. You become protector of architect legacy. And what do you get out of this? Purpose fulfilled. Architects created this unit to find worthy guardians. You possess required traits. Curiosity without greed. Strength without cruelty. Intelligence without arrogance. You mourn loss but do not seek revenge. You search for peace but will fight when necessary. These are guardian qualities. Jake thought about his family. He thought about why he came here. He wanted to hide from the universe, to fade into silence. But maybe fate had other plans. Maybe his engineering skills, his military training, his whole life had prepared him for this moment. If I refuse, you leave. Velen eventually find way inside or destroy facility trying. Archive knowledge lost forever. Other safe houses remain dormant, without network activation. Architect legacy ends, and if I accept, you become guardian. You protect this knowledge. You help activate other facilities across galaxy. You ensure architect wisdom serves those worthy of it, not those who would abuse it. Jake looked at the countdown timer on his wrist device. 43 minutes until the Velen deadline. He had spent 8 months running from responsibility, from connection, from anything that mattered. Maybe it was time to stop running. What do I have to do? The pedestal in front of him began to glow brighter. A handprint shape appeared on its surface. Place hand here. Accept bond willingly. No force. No coercion. Choice must be free. Jake stepped forward. His hand hovered over the glowing handprint. This was crazy. He was about to bond with an alien artificial intelligence to fight off a fleet of warships. 6 days ago, his biggest concern was cataloging old equipment. He pressed his hand against the pedestal. Energy surged through him like lightning. Jake gasped as information flooded into his mind. He saw the outpost's complete layout. He understood every system, every wire, every circuit. He felt the power generators humming below. He sensed the weapon arrays hidden in the facility's walls. He knew the shield strength and the capacitor charge levels. It was overwhelming. It was terrifying. It was incredible. The energy faded, leaving Jake breathing hard. He looked at his hand. It appeared normal, but he could still feel the connection. The outpost was part of him now. He could sense it the way he sensed his own heartbeat. Bonding complete, the archive announced. Welcome, Guardian Jake Morrison. Defensive systems now under your control. Recommend immediate activation of primary shields. Jake did not need to touch any controls. He just thought about the shields, and they responded. Around the outpost, generators that had been dormant for years roared to life. Energy barriers formed in layers around the facility, creating a protective shell. His communicator buzzed. The Velen commander's voice returned, now filled with shock. Impossible! How did you activate architect technology? No species has succeeded in 15 years of trying. Jake walked back to the control room. But now he did not need the monitors. He could feel the Velen ships in orbit like pressure points in his awareness. He activated the communication system with a thought. Commander Thex, I am Guardian Morrison of Outpost Zeta 7. This facility is under architect protection protocols. Your claim of ancestral ownership is rejected. Leave this system immediately. You are one human, Thex roared. We are 3 warships. You will surrender the facility or die. Last warning, Jake said calmly. Depart peacefully, or face consequences. The Velen commander cut the transmission. Through his connection to the outpost, Jake felt the warships power up their weapons. They began descending toward the moon's surface. All three ships targeting the facility from different angles. "They are attacking," the archive stated unnecessarily. Jake closed his eyes and reached deeper into the connection. The outpost had weapons he had never imagined. Plasma cannons hidden in retractable turrets, missile batteries disguised as sensor arrays, point defense systems that could track hundreds of targets simultaneously. The first Velan ship fired. Energy beams lanced down from orbit, striking the shields with tremendous force. Jake felt the impact through the bond, but the shields held easily. The architect technology was far more advanced than anything the Velan possessed. "Return fire?" the archive asked. Jake thought about it. He could destroy all three ships with a single salvo. The weapons were that powerful. But that would mean killing everyone aboard. That would make him a murderer. "Target their weapons only," Jake ordered. "Disable. Do not destroy." The outpost's turrets emerged from hidden positions. They tracked the descending ships with perfect accuracy. Jake did not aim manually. The systems read his intent and executed it flawlessly. Plasma bolts shot upward in brilliant blue streams. They struck the Velen ships with surgical precision, destroying weapon mounts and disabling targeting systems. Within seconds, all three warships were defenseless. The ships tried to retreat, but Jake was faster. He activated tractor beams that locked onto their engines. The Velan vessels struggled but could not break free. "Commander Thex," Jake said over the open channel, "your weapons are disabled. Your engines are locked. You have one choice. Agree to leave this system and never return, or I will drag your ships down to the surface and leave you stranded." There was a long silence. Then Thex responded, his voice tight, with barely controlled rage. "You have made a powerful enemy today, human. The Velen Reclamation Fleet will not forget this." "I am sure they will not," Jake replied. "But they will learn to respect architect authority. Now, do you agree to my terms?" Another pause. "We agree. Release our vessels." Jake relaxed the tractor beams but kept the ships targeted. "If you return, I will not be so gentle. Depart now." The three Velan warships turned and accelerated away from the moon. Within minutes, they had jumped to hyperspace, leaving Jake alone once more. He slumped into the command chair, suddenly exhausted. The adrenaline was fading, leaving him shaky and drained. He had just fought off three warships, using technology he barely understood. It felt surreal. "You performed well," the archive said. "First test passed. You chose mercy over vengeance. You protected without causing unnecessary harm. These are true guardian qualities." "What happens now?" Jake asked. "Now you learn. Now you grow into your role. And now you prepare." Prepare for what? The Velen will report what happened here. Others will hear. Some will be curious. Some will be afraid. And some will be very, very angry. Enemies of the architects still exist in this galaxy. They have searched for facilities like this one for thousands of years. Your activation will draw their attention. Jake looked out at the stars through the viewport. He had come here to escape. Instead, he had found purpose. He had found responsibility. And whether he was ready or not, he had found a war. The outpost hummed around him, its systems alive and alert. Jake Morrison was no longer running from his past. He was defending the future. The next 3 days were the strangest of Jake's life. He spent most of his time in the hidden chamber, learning from the archive. The bond between them grew stronger with each passing hour. Information flowed both ways now. The archive taught him about architect technology, while Jake's human perspective helped the archive understand concepts it had only observed from a distance. He learned that the architects had been explorers and teachers. They traveled the galaxy for thousands of years, studying emerging civilizations and guiding them toward wisdom. But their greatest achievement was the Safe House network. Scattered across 100 systems, Each facility held copies of all architect knowledge. The network was designed to survive even if the architects themselves did not. What happened to them? Jake asked during one lesson. The architects, I mean. Where did they go? The archive's lights dimmed slightly. They were destroyed. An enemy rose that valued power over wisdom. The Void Collective hunted architects across the galaxy. Battle after battle, facility after facility fell. The architects realized they could not win through force. So they created you. They created guardians. Correct. Rather than fight impossible war, architects chose to preserve knowledge and wait. They believed worthy species would eventually emerge. Species that would value protection over domination. Humanity shows this potential. Jake was still processing this when his long-range sensors detected an approaching ship. It was small, civilian class, and broadcasting human identification codes. That was unusual. This system was off the standard routes. Nobody came here by accident. He watched as the ship entered orbit and sent a hailing request. Jake accepted it cautiously. Outpost Zeta 7. This is the research vessel Curiosity requesting permission to land. I am Dr. Lisa Chen, xenoarchaeologist. I mean no harm. I just want to talk. Jake frowned. A xenoarchaeologist studying dead civilizations. That could not be coincidence. Dr. Chen, this is a restricted facility. State your business. I have been studying Velan historical records, Lisa replied. Her voice was professional but excited. I found references to a forbidden site in this system. A place they abandoned suddenly 15 years ago. When I heard that someone had reactivated the outpost, I had to investigate. Please, I have traveled 3 weeks to get here. Jake thought about it. The archive had warned him to be careful about who he trusted. But it also said he would need to identify other potential guardians. Maybe this was a test. You can land, Jake said. But approach slowly and keep your weapons systems offline. I do not have any weapons, Lisa said with a laugh. I am a scientist, not a soldier. Her ship landed gently beside Jake's shuttle. He met her at the airlock, staying alert for any signs of danger. When the hatch opened, a woman in her 30s stepped out. She had short black hair and carried only a data tablet and a small bag. Thank you for letting me land, Lisa said, extending her hand. I was half expecting you to shoot first and ask questions later. Jake shook her hand carefully. I considered it. Come inside. We need to talk. He led her through the outpost, watching her reactions. Lisa looked around with pure scientific fascination, taking in every detail. She asked questions about the Velan equipment, about the layout, about everything she saw. It reminded Jake of his own curiosity when he first arrived. They reached the mess hall, and Jake offered her water. She accepted gratefully. So what is this really about? Jake asked. Why did you come all this way? Lisa set down her tablet and met his eyes. Because I think I have figured out something that most people have missed. The Velan are not the first species to abandon facilities suddenly. I have found 17 similar cases across known space. Different species, different time periods, but the same pattern. They find something, study it briefly, then flee without explanation. Go on. I started wondering what could scare so many different species. What could be valuable enough to investigate but dangerous enough to abandon? Then I found the common thread. Ancient ruins. Every abandoned site was located near archaeological evidence of a much older civilization. Jake said nothing, but his expression must have given something away, because Lisa leaned forward eagerly. You have found something, have not you? Something the Velan discovered and could not control? He made a decision. Follow me. Jake led her down to the hidden chamber. He watched as Lisa stepped through the passage and saw the crystalline structures for the first time. Her mouth fell open in pure wonder. This is impossible, she whispered. This technology is thousands of years more advanced than anything I have studied. Meet the archive, Jake said. The reason the Velan ran away. The archive activated its displays, and Lisa nearly dropped her tablet. The holographic images surrounded her, showing symbols and diagrams that made her eyes light up with recognition. These are similar to markings I found on ruins in the Kepler sector, she said excitedly. I could never translate them, but the mathematical patterns were clearly advanced. This is the same civilization? The architects, Jake confirmed. They built facilities like this across the galaxy. The archive is what they left behind. He explained everything. The Guardian Protocol, the test for worthy species, the battle with the Velen ships. Lisa listened with complete focus, asking sharp questions that showed she understood the implications. When he finished, Lisa looked at the archive thoughtfully. Can it scan me? Can it tell if I have Guardian potential? The archive's lights pulsed. Scanning, Dr. Lisa Chen. A moment passed. Scan complete. Subject possesses Guardian qualities. Profile differs from Jake Morrison, but complementary. Where Morrison shows protective instinct and tactical awareness, Chen demonstrates curiosity tempered with respect, knowledge seeking balanced with ethical consideration. 2 Guardians are better than 1, Lisa said with a smile. If you will have me. Jake studied her. The archive approved. His instincts said she was genuine. And truthfully, he could use help. Welcome to the team. I guess. Over the next hours, Lisa bonded with the archive just as Jake had. She gasped as the knowledge flooded into her mind, then laughed with pure joy. When the process finished, she immediately started exploring the database, her archaeological expertise helping decode information that Jake had struggled with. Look at this, she said, projecting a star map. These are other safe house locations. Most are still dormant, but 3 have activated in the past week. 3 others? Jake moved closer. Where? 1 in the Korath Empire, 1 in Trenai space, 1 near the Delton homeworld. Lisa expanded the map. The archive network is coming back online. Other Guardians are being chosen. That is good news, right? Lisa's expression turned serious. Maybe. But look at this data. She pulled up a different file. One marked with warning symbols. The archive has been monitoring quantum communications across the galaxy. Someone is searching for activated facilities. Someone with very sophisticated detection equipment. The Void Collective, Jake said quietly. The who? He told her what the archive had revealed about the architect's enemy. Lisa's face grew pale as she understood the implications. If they detect all the active facilities at once, she said slowly, they could attack simultaneously. Divide our forces before we even meet each other. The archive interrupted their conversation. Alert. Intrusion attempt detected on quantum communication network. Unknown party attempting to access facility location database. Jake felt a chill. Can you block them? Blocking in progress. However, intrusion originated from nearby system. Source traced to human research station. One side. Lisa pulled up the station's information. That is the Frontier Research Station 7. It is only 2 days' travel from here. They study stellar phenomena. Or they are spying for the Void Collective, Jake added grimly. He looked at the data flowing across the archive's displays. Can you identify the person making the intrusion? Affirmative. Source is Dr. Peter Walsh, senior astrophysicist, cross-referencing with known Void Collective operatives. The archive paused. Match found. Walsh has connections to 17 suspected Void agents across 4 species. We need to stop him, Lisa said urgently. If he transmits our coordinates to the collective, they will send everything they have. Jake was already thinking tactically. We need someone with military authority. Someone who can arrest Walsh quietly, without alerting his handlers. Do you know anyone like that? Jake thought about his former colleagues from his military days. Most were spread across the fleet, but one name came to mind. Commander Ryan Foster. They had served together years ago. Ryan was honest, capable, and most importantly, he was currently assigned to patrol duty in a nearby sector. I might know someone, Jake said, but I need to contact him carefully. If the Void Collective is monitoring communications, we cannot risk a direct message. The archive can help with that, Lisa suggested. The quantum communication network is undetectable by conventional means. They spent the next hour crafting a message that would convince Ryan without revealing too much. Jake kept it simple. Old friend in trouble. Need help immediately. Coordinates attached. Ryan would come. Jake was sure of it. The message sent, they waited. The archive continued monitoring the intrusion attempts. Walsh was persistent, trying different access methods every few hours. He knew something valuable was here. He just needed the exact location to send to his masters. How much time do we have? Jake asked. The archive calculated. Based on current intrusion patterns, Walsh will breach outer security in approximately 72 hours. Once he obtains coordinates, transmission to Void Collective will be immediate. Response fleet will arrive within 1 week of transmission. 1 week. Maybe less. Jake looked at Lisa, then at the glowing crystals around them. He had come to this outpost seeking peace. Instead, he had found a war. But this time, he was not alone. He had Lisa. Soon he would have Ryan. And somewhere across the galaxy, other Guardians were waking up. The architects had chosen humanity for a reason. Now it was time to prove they had chosen wisely. Commander Ryan Foster arrived exactly 36 hours after Jake sent the message. His patrol ship, the Defender, was small but well-armed. Jake watched it approach on sensors, feeling a mix of relief and anxiety. He had not seen Ryan in almost 3 years. The ship docked, and Ryan stepped out in his uniform. He was tall, broad-shouldered, with gray starting to show in his dark hair. His eyes were sharp and assessing as he looked around the outpost. "Jake Morrison," Ryan said with a slight smile. "When you said you needed help, I expected maybe a broken generator or a supply shortage. Not whatever this is." He gestured at the obviously active defensive systems. "It is complicated," Jake said. "Thanks for coming. You saved my life during the Frontier Wars. I owe you more than a visit." Ryan's expression turned serious. "Now tell me what is really going on here." Jake introduced him to Lisa, then led them both down to the archive chamber. He had done this once before with Lisa, but watching Ryan's reaction was different. The commander's military training showed as he immediately started assessing threats and defensive positions, even while staring in amazement at the alien technology. "This is beyond anything Earth Command knows about," Ryan said quietly. "How long has this been here?" "Thousands of years," Jake replied. "Let me explain everything." He told Ryan the whole story. The architects, the Guardian Protocol, the Void Collective, and the incoming threat. Ryan listened, without interrupting, his face growing more serious with each revelation. When Jake finished, Ryan was quiet for a long moment. "You are asking me to believe in an ancient alien conspiracy, secret guardians chosen by dead civilization, and an enemy that has existed for thousands of years. I know how it sounds, and yet I am standing in a room full of technology that should not exist, after watching you activate defense systems that could destroy my ship with one shot." Ryan shook his head. "I have seen enough impossible things in my career to know when something is real. Show me this bond process." The archive scanned Ryan without being asked. Commander Ryan Foster possesses Guardian qualities: tactical intelligence, leadership ability, courage balanced with caution. Different profile from Morrison and Chen, but highly valuable. "It wants to bond with you too," Lisa explained. "You would gain access to the facility's systems like we did." Ryan considered it carefully. "If I do this, I am not just helping a friend. I am joining something bigger. Something that could affect Earth's entire future." "Yes," Jake said simply. "And you trust this archive completely?" "I trust what it has shown me. I trust the knowledge it holds, and I trust that the architects chose well when they designed it." Ryan walked to the pedestal and placed his hand on it without further hesitation. The energy flowed through him, and Jake saw his friend's eyes widen as the information downloaded. When it finished, Ryan stepped back, breathing hard. "That is intense," he said. "I can feel the outpost now. Every system, every weapon. It is like gaining a new sense." "Welcome to the Guardian Club," Lisa said with a grin. "We have matching existential crises and everything." Ryan's smile faded quickly. "Jake, with 3 of us bonded, The archive just unlocked more data. I am seeing things you have not told me about yet. Like what? Like the fact that other safe houses are activating across the galaxy. A Korath engineer named Vex. A Trinai philosopher called Sela. A Deltan healer whose name translates roughly to harmony. They are all coming online within days of each other. Lisa pulled up the data. The archive network is synchronizing. Once enough facilities activate, they can share power and resources across the quantum network. That is the good news, Ryan said grimly. The bad news is that I am also seeing Walsh's intrusion attempts. He is closer to breaching security than the archive initially calculated. We have maybe 48 hours before he gets through, Jake cursed. We need to move now. Can we reach the research station in time? The defender is fast, Ryan said. We can be there in 8 hours. But we need a plan. If Walsh is working for the Void Collective, he might have backup. They spent the next hour planning. Ryan would take a small team to the research station under the pretense of a routine inspection. Lisa would go along as a civilian consultant, which was not unusual for patrol missions. Jake would stay behind to protect the archive in case Walsh had already sent the coordinates. If this goes wrong, Ryan warned, we could be starting a war. The war already started, Jake replied. We are just now joining it. Ryan and Lisa departed in the Defender. Jake watched them go, feeling the emptiness of the outpost settle around him again. But this time, it was different. He was not alone anymore. He was part of something larger. Jake Morrison, the archive said. While others pursue Walsh, we should continue your training. There is much you need to learn about the network's capabilities. Show me, Jake said. The archive revealed functions he had not known existed. The safe houses could do more than share power. They could transfer guardians instantly through quantum gates. They could manufacture advanced technology from basic materials. They could even communicate directly with each other, creating a network of protected knowledge that spanned the galaxy. Why did the architects need all this? Jake asked. Because they understood a truth that many species forget. Knowledge is meaningless without protection. They had seen civilizations rise and fall. They had watched war destroy libraries and disasters erase history. The Safe House network ensures that important knowledge survives no matter what happens. Jake thought about Earth's own history. The Library of Alexandria burning. Ancient texts lost forever. Whole civilizations vanishing with only ruins left behind. The architects had found a solution to that tragedy. Hours passed. Then Jake's communicator crackled to life. Jake, this is Ryan. We found Walsh. Status? He was in the middle of another intrusion attempt when we arrived. We arrested him and seized his equipment. But Jake? There is a problem. Jake's stomach tightened. What kind of problem? He already sent a partial transmission before we stopped him. He did not get the exact coordinates. But he sent enough data that the Void Collective knows something activated in this sector. How long until they arrive? Walsh claims they were already preparing a fleet. Standard protocol whenever they detect archive activity. He was just supposed to provide targeting data. Ryan's voice was tense. Jake. They are coming. A full assault fleet. 30 warships plus support vessels. ETA is 72 hours. 72 hours. 3 days to prepare for an enemy that had spent thousands of years hunting architect facilities. Bring Walsh back here, Jake ordered. I want to question him myself. And Ryan, tell your superiors that you are taking emergency leave. We are going to need the Defender and any other ships you can convince to help. Already done. I called in every favor I had. We will have maybe 12 patrol ships total. 12 ships against 30. The odds were terrible. It will have to be enough, Jake said. Get back here as fast as you can. We have work to do. Over the next hours, Jake prepared the outpost for siege. He activated every defensive system the archive possessed. He set up automated repair drones. He charged the weapons to full capacity. The facility transformed from a quiet research station into a fortress. When Ryan and Lisa returned with Walsh in custody, Jake was waiting in the control room. Walsh was a thin man in his 50s with nervous eyes. He looked terrified but also defiant. "You cannot win," Walsh said immediately. "The Void Collective is too strong. They have been preparing for this for millennia. You are just 3 humans playing with technology you do not understand." "We understand enough," Jake replied coldly. "Tell me about the fleet." "What are we facing?" Walsh laughed bitterly. "Everything. Battle cruisers, destroyers, carrier ships full of fighters. They have stolen and adapted technology from 100 species, and they are all commanded by people who believe absolutely that knowledge belongs to the strong." "Why do you work for them?" Lisa asked. "You are a scientist. You should value knowledge for its own sake." "I did once," Walsh said quietly. "But I watched the galaxy ignore discovery after discovery. I saw breakthroughs hidden by governments and corporations. The Void Collective promised something different. They promised that power would go to those who earned it through strength and intelligence. They promised you would be one of the powerful ones," Ryan said with disgust. "And you believed them. At least they are honest about what they want," Walsh shot back. "The architects were no better. They decided who was worthy and who was not. They played God with entire species." Jake felt anger rising but forced it down. "The architects gave species a choice. They tested for guardianship, not worthiness. There is a difference, is there? You 3 get to decide who has access to this technology. You are playing God right now," the archive interrupted. "Philosophical debate is irrelevant. Void Fleet has been detected at system edge. ETA revised to 60 hours. They are accelerating faster than projected." Jake looked at Ryan and Lisa, his friends, his fellow guardians. In 60 hours, they would face an enemy that had destroyed the architects themselves. "Then we use the time we have," Jake said. "Archive. Show us everything. Every weapon. Every defense. Every trick the architects left behind. If the Void Collective wants a war, we will give them one they will never forget." The displays lit up with tactical data. Ship positions. Weapon ranges. Shield frequencies. Jake absorbed it all through his bond, sharing it with Ryan and Lisa through the network connection. They had 60 hours to prepare. 60 hours to turn an abandoned outpost into an impenetrable fortress. 60 hours to prove that humanity deserved the architect's trust. The countdown had begun. The Void Collective fleet emerged from hyperspace exactly when the archive predicted. 30 massive warships arranged themselves in a perfect siege formation around the moon. Jake watched through the outpost's sensors, feeling each ship like a weight pressing down on him. Ryan's patrol ships formed a defensive line between the outpost and the enemy fleet. 12 small vessels against an armada. It looked hopeless. "All ships, hold position," Ryan commanded over the tactical channel. "Do not fire unless they fire first." A transmission came through from the lead enemy battlecruiser. The face that appeared was not human. It belonged to a Korvax, a species known for their ruthless efficiency. "I am Admiral Kryn of the Void Collective. You are harboring architect technology that does not belong to you. Surrender it immediately, and you will be allowed to leave with your lives." Jake activated the communications from the archive chamber. "I am Guardian Jake Morrison. This facility is under architect protection. Your claim is rejected. Leave now, or face the consequences." Kryn's expression did not change. Guardian. An interesting title for someone who has no idea what they are protecting. The architects failed. Human. Their dream of spreading knowledge to the worthy was naive. We offer a better way. Knowledge goes to those strong enough to take it, and wise enough to use it. You mean knowledge goes to those cruel enough to steal it and arrogant enough to hoard it? Lisa shot back over the channel. "Dr. Chen," Kryn said, recognizing her from Walsh's reports. "A scholar who chooses the losing side. How disappointing." "This is your last warning," Ryan interrupted. "Withdraw your fleet, or we will engage." Kryn actually smiled. 12 patrol ships against 30 warships. You humans are brave, I will grant you that. But bravery without intelligence is just suicide. He cut the transmission. The enemy fleet began powering up weapons. All ships, battle stations, Ryan ordered. Prepare to engage on my mark. Jake closed his eyes and reached deep into his connection with the archive. Lisa and Ryan did the same from their positions. Through the network bond, Jake felt them like extensions of himself, 3 minds working as one, unified by purpose. Archive, Jake said quietly. You told me the network could share power between facilities, the other safe houses that activated. Can we connect to them now? Affirmative. However, full network synchronization requires time. Recommend beginning connection sequence immediately. Do it. The archive sent signals across the quantum network. Light years away, other facilities responded. Jake felt them connecting one by one. Vex, the Korath engineer, his facility humming with industrial power. Sela, the Trine philosopher, her location radiating calm strategic thinking. Harmony, the Deltan healer, his safe house pulsing with defensive energy. They were all different species, all different worlds, but they shared one thing. They had all been chosen as guardians. Greetings, Jake Morrison. A deep voice rumbled through the network. That was Vex. We felt the attack beginning. We offer our strength. And our wisdom, added Sela's melodic voice. And our protection, Harmony's gentle tones completed. Power began flowing through the network. Energy from distant facilities channeled into Jake's outpost. The weapons systems surged with unprecedented strength. The shields multiplied in density. Admiral Kryn noticed the energy spike. What is this? Impossible. The network should not be fully operational yet. You underestimated us, Jake said. You underestimated what Guardians can do when they work together. Last chance. Kryn. Leave now. The Admiral's face twisted with rage. All ships, open fire. Destroy that facility and everyone protecting it. The Void Fleet unleashed everything at once. Energy beams, missiles, plasma cannons, all targeted the outpost from multiple angles. The barrage was overwhelming. Enough firepower to crack a planet. The shields held. Enhanced by the network, the Architect defenses absorbed the attack without even flickering. Jake felt the impacts through his bond, but felt no fear. He understood now why the Architects had built the network this way. Alone, each facility was strong. Together, they were unstoppable. Ryan, take your ships and hit their left flank, Jake ordered. We will support you from here. The patrol ships broke formation and accelerated toward the enemy. The Void warships tried to track them, but the archive was faster. Targeting data flowed directly to Ryan's squadron, showing weak points in enemy shields and optimal firing angles. The patrol ships struck with precision that shocked the Void commanders. Despite being outgunned, they disabled 3 enemy destroyers in the first pass. Lisa, activate the manufacturing systems, Jake said. Lisa's hands moved across holographic controls. Deep in the outpost's hidden levels, Architect fabricators roared to life. Within minutes, the first drones emerged. Small, fast, and armed with cutting lasers. They poured out of launch bays that had been sealed for thousands of years. The drones swarmed the Void Fleet like angry insects. They were too small and numerous to target effectively, but their lasers cut through ship hulls with ease. Admiral Kryn's confidence was cracking. This is impossible. No species has ever mastered Architect technology this quickly. That is because you are looking at it wrong, Jake replied. You think the technology is what matters. But the Architects knew better. They knew that the right people using simple tools will always defeat the wrong people using advanced weapons. They chose their guardians well. The battle raged around the moon. Ryan's ships danced between the larger warships, striking and retreating before the enemy could respond. Lisa's drones carved through enemy formations, and Jake coordinated everything through the archive, directing the defense like a conductor leading an orchestra. But the Void Collective had numbers on their side. Slowly, inevitably, They adapted. Their ships began working in tighter formations. They focused fire on individual targets rather than spreading out. 3 patrol ships went down, their crews evacuating just before the ships exploded. "We are losing ships," Ryan reported grimly. "We cannot hold them forever." Jake felt the pressure building. The network connection gave them power, but the Void Fleet had experience. They had been fighting for thousands of years. They knew how to grind down defenders through attrition. "Archive," Jake said. "Is there anything else? Any weapon or defense we have not used?" "One option remains. The Guardian Nova Protocol." "What does it do?" "It channels all network energy into a single massive discharge. The blast would disable every ship within the system. However, it would also drain the network completely. All facilities would go offline for approximately 1 week while recharging." Jake considered. A week without the network meant a week vulnerable. But if they did not end this battle soon, they would lose anyway. "Would it kill the crews?" he asked. "Negative. The Nova targets ship systems only. Crew casualties would be minimal." Crew casualties would be minimal. That decided it. Jake was not a killer. He was a guardian. There was a difference. "Ryan, Lisa, prepare to fall back to the outpost," Jake ordered. "I am going to end this." "Jake, what are you planning?" Lisa asked worriedly. "Something the architects left for exactly this situation. Trust me." The patrol ships and drones retreated to defensive positions around the outpost. The Void Fleet advanced, sensing victory. Admiral Crin's face appeared on the view screen again. "Your defenses are failing, Guardian Morrison. Surrender now, and I promise a quick death." "I have a better idea," Jake said. He reached through the network, feeling the other Guardians lending their strength. Vex's industrial power, Sila's strategic focus, Harmony's protective will, and his own human determination to protect what mattered. Guardian Nova Protocol, activate. Energy exploded outward from the outpost in a sphere of pure light. It expanded at the speed of thought, washing over the Void Fleet like a tidal wave. Every ship in its path went dark. Weapons died, engines shut down, life support remained active, but everything else stopped working. In seconds, 30 warships became 30 floating hulks. The silence after the blast was total. Jake slumped in his chair, feeling the network connection fade as promised. The other facilities were offline now, recharging. He was alone again, but not truly alone. Ryan and Lisa were still here. His fellow Guardians, "Status report," Jake said tiredly. "All enemy ships disabled," Ryan reported. "Their crews are alive but stranded. We can pick up escape pods if you want. Do it. And send a message to Admiral Crin." Jake activated communications one more time. Crin's face appeared, furious and humiliated. "You had the power to destroy us," Crin said bitterly. "Why did you not?" "Because I am a guardian, not an executioner," Jake replied. "The architects chose us to protect knowledge, not to kill everyone who seeks it. You are alive because that is what guardians do. We protect, even our enemies." Crin stared at him for a long moment. "You are a fool. We will return. The Void Collective will never stop hunting your facilities." "Maybe," Jake said, "but now you know what you are facing. Guardians do not fight alone. We are connected across the galaxy. We share strength and wisdom, and we will always choose mercy over cruelty. That makes us different from you. That makes us worthy of what we protect." He cut the transmission and began the process of contacting Earth Command. They would need to send ships to collect the disabled Void Fleet. This would raise questions. There would be investigations and briefings. The secret of the architect facilities could not stay hidden much longer, but that was a problem for tomorrow. Today, Jake had proven something important. He had proven that the architects chose correctly. Humanity could be trusted with their legacy. 3 months later, Jake stood in the archive chamber watching a view screen. It showed another safe house activation. This one, on a colony world in the Outer Rim, The new guardian was a young human woman named Kate Sullivan, a medical officer who had stumbled onto the facility while treating injured colonists. That makes 17 active guardians now, Lisa said from beside him. She had been cataloging all the new activations. 8 different species. The network is growing faster than we expected. Ryan entered the chamber, now officially assigned as liaison between the Guardians and Earth Command. The Council just approved funding for a Guardian training facility. They want us to help identify and prepare potential candidates. Jake smiled. The universe had changed so much in just a few months. The Void Collective had retreated, but not surrendered. More battles would come, but now the Guardians had allies, resources, and purpose. His communicator buzzed with another message. This one from Kate, the newest Guardian. Guardian Morrison, I just bonded with the archive. This is incredible. I have so many questions. Can we talk? Jake laughed and sent a reply. Welcome to the Guardians, Kate. Yes. We can talk. Let me tell you everything. Bah. Close. Bah. He looked around the chamber that had become his home. The crystalline structures still pulsed with their gentle blue light. The archive hummed with quiet contentment, finally fulfilling its ancient purpose. Jake had come to this outpost broken and lost, seeking nothing but peace. Instead, he had found meaning. He had found family. He had found his place in a story thousands of years in the making. The architects were gone, but their dream lived on. Knowledge protected by those worthy of protecting it. Wisdom shared with those wise enough to value it, and guardians standing watch across the galaxy, defending tomorrow against those who would steal it. Jake Morrison was no longer running from his past. He was building the future, and he was exactly where he was meant to be.